Umesh Perera, a company called Intercomms. Talk to you today. Can everyone hear? Yeah. I'm going to talk to you today about SEO and the Google dance. What is SEO? And do I need it? SEO is a simple activity of ensuring a website can be found in search for words, phrases relevant to what the site is offering. In essence, SEO is the art of getting your site ranked higher on the search engines. Obviously, higher the ranking, more traffic. More traffic, more potential customers, therefore more sales. Do you need it? I think we've answered that. What else should I consider? We'll come to that in a second. We cover what the Google dance is. Basically, your listings on Google, or say even an established site, fluctuates. Most of the time, one day you could be on page 1, listing 3. Next day you could be on page 2, listing 1. It fluctuates a lot. Depending on how the key phrase is competed, how many people are competing for that key phrase. Remember, there are limited places on the first 3 pages. Typically, 10 places per page. So, Google Dance is basically it's basically the listings moving up and down the rankings. How can you avoid it? Hello. Okay. One of the best ways. This is the best way to get a good start, especially if you're starting up a new site. Choose the domain name. Choose the domain name carefully. Why? Because some of the algorithms that the search engines use, it's important for your key phrase. If your key phrase is inside your domain name, it'll enable you to get higher listed. Very, very important. So, for instance, if you've got something like Wendy's Cakes, you would actually choose wendyscakes.com. Now, what you should be choosing is a domain name that has keywords in. And don't forget, you don't have to choose one domain name. You can choose multiple domain names and have feeder sites, which we'll come to in a second. Choosing hosting. This is very important. Often taken very lightly, and most people go, obviously, for the most cost-effective solution. But in practice, it's always better to choose your hosting carefully. Make sure that your hoster is providing you enough space. It's not limiting your bandwidth. You're allowed to, for instance, have MySQL or MSSQL, Microsoft SQL databases, because most of the applications that you want to use are based on these databases. And how many of you guys know WordPress? Quite a lot, yeah? Well, WordPress is dependent on PHP and MySQL. So you're not going to get that working unless that hoster is providing that. So then you might want to choose whether it's Linux or Windows hosting. So it's better to consider all of the applications that you might be running, the site, and the technology that you want to use before choosing your hosting. Remember, if you choose the wrong hoster and you want to move, it's not just an easy case of a couple of clicks, because if you've got a site established already, it needs to be moved over, DNS needs to be resolved, which involves downtime. Next, what technology should I choose? PHP or .NET? And the applications. WordPress being an application, Magento, Joomla, these are all quite famous and widely available applications which are free. My personal recommendation, I always recommend people to use PHP, purely for its robustness, its security, and its stability. Now, there's no point talking about SEO, digital marketing, promoting anything, if these design and navigation aren't right. Remember, you're going to do all the work of getting your products, your business together, etc., etc. You work hard to get that visitor, that all-important visitor to your site. When that visitor comes to your site, the first 2 seconds represents what that person's going to think of that site. So getting the colours right. Make sure it's aesthetically pleasing, because colours denote mood. You might want to change the mood of your client into something that is more in tune to what you're selling. Navigation. Don't annoy your visitor. Make sure your navigation is spot on. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, have you ever gone onto a site and you're looking for something and you're just clicking around aimlessly, left, right and centre, you don't really get anywhere? Don't you guys feel annoyed when that happens? So why annoy your own clients? Yeah? Get that done perfectly before you consider anything. Headers and footers. Basically, headers are your menus that you're going to have up on there. Yeah? The footers are your bottom links. My advice, I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. What I'm trying to do is rush through this. For my yesterday's speech, we found that it was actually better getting you guys to participate and tell me what your businesses are, and we'll actually do a keyword search and give you some suggestions. That's okay. Basically, next one, analytics and webmasters. Do you need it? Of course you need it. Analytics gives your stats on what visitors are coming to your site, and webmasters is your interface for what Googlebot makes of your site, what it thinks of your site. So very important. Now, I would actually put more emphasis on webmasters than analytics. Analytics is your current stats display. Web, which is kind of after the horse has bolted, if you've got any errors or anything that you didn't want to actually show up on there. Webmasters actually allows you to see what Google is actually perceiving of your site, what its search queries is offering your site up for. Very, very, very important. Next, sitemap and domain categorization. Sounds like a word I've just made up, but it's not, I assure you. Sitemap.xml. I'm going to give you an example of a sitemap. Do you want to... Okay. Excellent. No internet, lovely. Just bear with us while we get the internet back up. Basically, sitemap. Sitemap is a file that contains a list of all the URLs, all the pages of your actual website. Very important. When Google goes to crawl, Google would like to know how many pages there are. What's the content of it? It needs to crawl it. What you're doing here is giving a simple XML file that denotes where the URLs are, what the lead URL is, its last change date, the frequency that you wish Googlebot to crawl that particular page, and its priority. See, to save a lot of time, you can actually get the entire map of your site done correctly, and Googlebot knowing exactly how and when you wished it to be crawled.